Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 25 of What If Naruto Was Trained by All the Greats at a Young Age. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Given Abilities by 4 Devils that I posted on this channel, and enjoy that guys. And over on Anime King 3, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Hagoromo, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoyed videos on both Anime King and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, both Naruto and Yujito made their way towards the Jinchuriki that belonged to the Hidden Stone. Well, he's now an ex-shinobi, seeing that he ran away from there. As he ended up speaking to him, as he told him about his life, the things that he went through, and it was horrible. Having his mother cut down right in front of him. But he would not be a lapdog for anyone else. As he told him no, he will not be going back to Konoha. As Naruto told him that to watch out for the Akatsuki, as he wasn't going to be forcing the man. The man then told him yes, then leave. So with that they made their way back, as Kiba didn't like it one bit. But Naruto was a Hokage, what he said goes. As the time went by, it was time for Naruto's wedding. As the time finally came, as Kiba had a bachelor party, with all of Naruto's friends there. As Kiba felt really lonely when Shikamaru said he had someone to go home to. As he realized he had no one, as he saw Jiraiya, and wondered how the old man get women like that. The time passed as the wedding was beginning, as Hinata walked down the aisle, her father Hayashi with her, as Naruto was there standing up, as everyone was gathered, as they said their vows, and they celebrated with a kiss at the end, as normal wedding do. After that there was the after party, as there was a ceremonial dance. Yujito was watching from afar. She has grown to, well, falling for the blonde, but it's not like she can do anything about it, as she saw the happy couple. Teiwaya, who was seeing Haku and Gabriella dance, went over to Kiba, messing with him at first, but she got a bit too drunk, and the both of them ended up getting out of there together, not even knowing what she was doing, as he was drunk as hell as well. Uncle was also pregnant, as Kushina, and the man two other wives couldn't believe it, as they were looking at him with disbelief. Kushina's brother, his wife seemed to think that he was favoring Uncle over all of them. Well, it seems like he was as well, as he rather liked Uncle more than them. All about his personality and the way he interacted with her. As Naruto and Hinata spent the night together, as they couldn't go on a honeymoon given the situations. Meanwhile the Hinrain, there was Pain and Konan, as he went back into a flashback about his life, and how his friend Nagato killed himself and left his eyes to Yaiko, seeing that Yaiko could do more with them. The next morning, Teiwaya woke up as she saw that she was in bed with Kiba, as she cursed. Months passed after that, as the baby was born, and it was true. The man's two wives seemed to, well, one of them were speaking out about it now, how we favor Uncle over the two of them. This child should be his heir, but he said that the Uzumaki tradition didn't do that way, but he'll wait to see when they grow up first. So yeah guys, was basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? The first year students all were gathered, as they were fold out chairs with the family members there. This was a ceremony, as tomorrow they will be starting their first day at the academy. A girl looked over Fumi. "What is it, Maiko?" said Fumi. "Have you heard? The Hokage little sister is coming here today." Fumi rolled her eyes. "I bet it's just a story. I mean, no way would the Hokage little sister be coming here. I bet she has all kind of special trainers." "No, she wouldn't," said Maiko, I know for a fact that Hokage used to be a student here. Brother was in class 2 years behind him and saw him plenty of time. Fumu waved it off. I still say that the Red Death will never let anyone teach her daughter. Shh, Maiko said. You're not supposed to say her name out loud. Fumu smiled and rolled her eyes again. I don't believe those silly stories. Here, Red Death, Red Death. No, you're not supposed to say her name a third time. And what will happen? Just don't. Red Death. Oh look, the Hokage is coming, and his mother is nearby with him as well. A voice suddenly called out. The two girls turned as they saw him. Yes, Naruto was coming. With his little sister as well, as she was in a black bodysuit with a red stripe going down the side, with Kushina there as well, with the same type of clothing, just a lot bigger. And the whirlpool headband with a sword strapped on her back. See? I told you not to say her name 3 times. Maiko started to panic. Fumi didn't say a word, but she was scared. She watched Hokage patted his little sister's head as he walked towards the podium with a blonde-haired girl following behind him. But Fumi saw Namikaze Kushina moving towards the direction. Fumi looked away, lowering her head. Don't draw her attention. Don't draw her attention. Don't draw her attention. Excuse me, are these seats taken? Fumi looked up towards the friendly sounding voice, as it was none other than Kushina asked that question. Please don't kill me, Fumi said, as she started to cry. The next day, Alisa found an empty table and she sat down to have lunch. Most of the other students were looking at her and whispering to one another. With that sigh, she began having a special ramen mom had made for her. Her first day at the academy was not going as she expected at all. To begin with, everyone in her class has been together for 3 years. They all knew each other and they saw her as a new kid. Add to that, she was related to the Hokage and also the Red Death. And yesterday, that stupid girl had caused a scene for no reason. She couldn't believe anyone could think such things of her mother. Big Brother gave his welcoming address, but the moment had been ruined. Being 4th-year student, none of her classmates had been there, but the story spread like wildfire. The only good thing that happened was when Aruka Sensei administered the entrance test, as he was impressed with her. Uncle, granduncle, and mom had drilled everything into her over the summer. Hinata had been nice enough to take the time to show her a few strikes that could be incorporated with her style of fighting. Her brother helped her with using feints to take her opponent unaware. Hawk would work with her on throwing objects with accuracy and speed. Gabriella showed her blocks and counters, while Uncle, well, she wasn't sure when she would use low-level torture on people, but she appreciated everything. And Teiwaya had showed her simple genjutsu. She could already perform the hench, and there was no chakra manipulation problem, and her academic score was always fine. And Aruka was sure that she would be doing well in the upcoming spars. She easily passed entrance exam. If only she could do something about being an outcast. Excuse me. Alisa was brought up for her thoughts, with a young girl standing in front of her with a tray. The girl had pale eyes that was a different shade from Hinata's. Dark hair that went down to her shoulders, and a seal on her forehead. She was obviously a cadet of the branch member of the Hyuga. Yes, Alisa said. My name is Hyuga Erina. May I sit with you? Sure, Alisa said. My name is Alisa Namikaze. I know. I heard about you from Hinata. As she twitched her lips like she wanted to laugh. Is it true that you put the Hokage here in braids? Alisa smiled. Well, he wasn't a Hokage then, but yes. I thought it was a good look for him. As she thought maybe the first day wouldn't be so bad after all. Time skip. He was led through the back entrance of what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse. Once he was inside, the guide took him to a well-hidden door, as they began to go down a long flight of stairs. Sai had his fake smile as usual. Ryuki has been meeting with Sai recently, as Gabrielle had seen this boy, but she never questioned it, as her father told her was nothing to worry about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my master. I appreciate your trust within him. Ryuki shook his head. I don't trust him, but I'm willing to listen to what he has to say. At the bottom of the stairs, he was led to a large room, as there was a table with 3 people sitting there. They stood and bowed to him. Ryuki returned the gesture. Thank you, Sai. You're dismissed for now. Sai bowed. Yes, Danzo-sama, he said. Ryuki went to sit down at the table as well. It is not often I meet with 3 other council members in secret. Danzo looked completely at peace, as Koharu and Homura seemed to be a bit uneasy. Ryuki, sit at the table. Why have you asked me here? For now, I wish only to talk. Talk? About what, Ryuki asked. Let us talk about the future and what is best for Konoha. Outside the warehouse, a hidden figure carefully slipped away. Time skip. Yamato stood in Hokage's office in his gear and mask. He had just made an oral report and handed Naruto a document with 109 names on it. As Naruto was looking the names over and putting them to memory, "I didn't realize Naruto had grown so large," he said quietly. "Officially, there are only 60 members in Danzo's department. I turned up the other names in my investigation. These ninja have acted in Danzo's interests, even though they have no ties to Naruto. They are Danzo's personal spy within Anfu." "Just great," said Naruto, as he burned the list. "Is the list complete?" Naruto asked. "I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, but there's simply no way to know." Naruto nodded. "And now Ryuki, Koharu, Homura are all somewhere talking that I can't see." Sarutobi was able to use a crystal ball to personally spy on the happenings in the village. Naruto would have paid almost any price for that ability. Unfortunately, though, he didn't know that particular jutsu. "Is there any way you could put civilians' equipment in his headquarters?" "I wouldn't want to try it to Yamato, that place is well too guarded. Besides, knowing Danzo, he probably sweeps for civilian devices every now and then. And if he finds something that is too suspicious, you know what? I should just call the fourth into my office and ask them. Just see the look on their faces." "I'm just kidding," Naruto said. "I don't know what to do about this matter," said Naruto. "If they were foreign ninjas, I would have them killed or sent to Ibiki. If I had any evidence against them, I'd have them arrested. But if I move against them without any evidence, half the village will be up in arms. Treason is treason, no matter who commits it," said Yamato. "Oh, I agree. But if I had the head of the Uchiha clan, and one of our most respected Anbu leaders arrested without proof, people will think that it's personal. Even worse, they might think I'm trying to eliminate people to get power. A hand's mission could solve this," said Yamato. Naruto shook his head. "I'm not going to start or order assassinations within this village. Whatever happens, I'll deal with it like the Hokage." Beneath the mask, Yamato frowned. "Can I at least ask to bring Kakashi-senpai into the investigation?" "No, as of right now, you, me, and Jiraiya are the only ones that know about this. And I want to keep it that way for now." "Don't you trust Kakashi?" asked Yamato. "I trust brother with my life. Same as with my mother or Hinata or Shikamaru. But it has nothing to do with trust. Danzo and Ryuki are very intelligent, and Danzo is very paranoid when it comes to security. The more people investigated, the more people like to be noticed. For right now, I prefer to rely on you." "Yes, Hokage-sama." Meanwhile, Sojaku approached a body that he's just killed. They had on black cloaks with red clouds. He supposed it was the Akatsuki that Hokage wore in Mamote. He was willing to admit they were powerful than stone on their names, but lightning killed them like anyone else. As he stood over their corpses, "You should have just left me alone," he said. Suddenly, the one with the mask lifted his arm as his hand shot out and grabbed the Jinchuriki by his throat. "Now, Hidan," said Kakazu. To Sojaku's horror, the other jumped to his feet despite being struck by lightning, and he threw a three-blade scythe right into his thigh, slicing him badly. Hidan retrieved his weapon and laughed. "Now you're screwed," as he lit the blood. "Time to begin the ritual," he said. Howling, Sojaku finally ripped off the iron grip that was around his neck and jumped back. He was scared. He never run into anyone that could survive multiple lightning strikes before. He let the red chakra flow around him as he started to transform. He didn't like transforming, as the transformation was always painful, and whenever he do this, he always eat what he killed. Here, start to cover him. His bones cracked as he grew taller. His muscles hardened as well. His teeth sharpened. As he turned himself into a monster, a very hungry monster. "You survived my lightning," he said in a growl. "Can you survive being torn apart?" Usually when he said that, ninjas start to run for their life or beg for mercy. But these guys laugh. The one in the sight had changed his look, as his face was black, and strange white markings like a skeleton, and he was in a circle. "You don't know how badly you're screwed, are you?" As he pulled out a metal pipe and drive it into his arm. Sojaku cried out in pain as he felt something stab into his arm. Before the guy pulled out the pipe, Sojaku didn't know what was going on as he leaped forward as the guy stabbed the pipe right into his stomach, pushing it deep. Sojaku fell down to the ground. This guy pulled the pipe out again as Hidan stabbed himself right in the chest, not in the heart though, but the wound was enough to bring Sojaku back to human form. Kakazu went over and checked if he was still alive. "Shame I can't kill him," said Hidan. "It's all over now," said Kakazu. "Let's go." As the two made their way with the body of the Jinchuriki. Time skip 3 days later, as Sojaku's corpse dropped to the ground. Pain spoke. 7 down, 1 to go. Up to this point, the One Tail has not been reformed, as he planned on using the 8 that he had. It could still work towards his goal. Flashback 13 years ago, in Kumo. A 5-year-old girl stood at attention. She had just woken up as she stood barefoot on a cold floor. The place was terrifying and cold, but she would not say anything, as she was in a great dress. The man that controlled her every single waking moment was in front of her. He decided everything for her, from what she would wear, what she would eat, to when she would go outside. Junsuko Sensei was dressed in his normal Onfu armor, and as he normally did, he had on a demon mask, as Donfu's had demon mask here. As his had a red devil on it, it fit, because the man never seemed to be in a happy mood. "What are you?" he said. "A weapon," she said. As she was so used to this, she could have spoken every line without missing a beat. "What is your purpose?" "Strike down the enemy." "Who do you serve?" "The Raikage in the village, hidden within the clouds." "Would you die in the service of the Raikage in this village?" "Yes, for I live only to serve and protect the Raikage in the village." "Do you fear death?" "No, for death is no more than a part of life. It is as natural to die as it is as natural to be born." "What is it that you fear then?" "Failure and dishonor." "Are you happy?" Mouth open then shut once again. He never asked that before. "Well?" She swallowed. "Forgive me, Junsuko Sensei, but I do not know how I'm supposed to answer the question. I've never been instructed to answer a question like that before." He shook his head. "That is because it's a genuine question. I'm not looking for a script or reply. I'm asking you a simple question. You just have to answer the question truthfully." She looked at him nervously. "Will I be punished if I get the wrong answer?" He shook his head. "For this sort of question there is no right or wrong answer. You may give one answer today and another one tomorrow, so long as they are both correct and the truth. Do you understand?" "I think so," she said. "Well, are you happy?" he asked. She thought about it carefully. Well, not if she was happy or not, because the answer to that was always no, she wasn't happy. But she tried to piece together to what he wanted to answer. She knew he was lying when he said there was no right or wrong answer, just as she knew no one cared whether she was happy or not. Everything in her life was a test, everything was watched and judged. She made her decision and nodded. "Yes, I'm happy," she said. He nodded. "You have 45 minutes to wash yourself and dress. I've already set aside the clothes that you'll be wearing. I expect you to be seated at the table for breakfast in exactly 45 minutes. He made a hand sign disappear in a swirl of wind and fog. Sighing, she got moved to the bathroom. Another day had begun. Time skip. A year passed, as the 6-year-old was now walking behind her sensei. On the rooftop, two full set of envoys kept watch of their progress, but tried to remain discreet. With her vision though, and her sense of smell, she knew that they were there. She was allowed to train outside daily, but actually going through the village was rare. Everyone knew who she was. As she and her sensei came down the street, people ran to the other side. All conversations came to a halt as people stopped to stare at her. Their looks had curiosity, surprise, and distaste, but they looked at her with fear as well. "Junsuko Sensei," she said quietly. He turned his head back to her a little. "Yes." "Why is everyone afraid of me?" She couldn't see his face, but she got the sense that he felt uncomfortable by the question. People always fear what they don't understand. It is human nature. Before she could ask what he meant by that, he turned and picked up his pace. "Come, we cannot keep the fourth Raikage waiting." Time skip. Standing in the reception area, everyone tried to pretend that she wasn't there. They weren't very good at it, as they glanced and looked away quickly. Normally with the envoy, even with her sensei, there was always a bit of fear there. But in here, the scent of fear was so thick, she thought that she might choke on it, as they really were afraid of her. As the Raikage door opened and her sensei motioned for her to come, as she approached the door, he whispered in her ear, "Behave exactly what I showed you, and do not speak unless spoken to." She nodded and came to a stop in front of the Raikage's desk. She gave him a very deep, respectful bow. "Envoy Trainee Yujito, reporting as order, Raikage-sama." He gave a slight nod in acknowledgement. Sitting behind his desk, he looked her over. "So you're Yujito," the Raikage said. "You're a very special little girl. Do you know why you're special?" She noticed her sensei stiffened a bit. "No, Raikage-sama," she said truthfully. The Raikage looked at her before he spoke. "You are aware of the seal written on your back?" "Yes, Raikage-sama." "You are a Jinjulke. On the day of your birth, a demon was sealed inside of you. And with those words, all sense left her." What? She felt terror. Images of a monster from the inside, ripping through her stomach, tearing her apart, filled her mind. "You hold within you a demon. To be precise, you hold within you the two-tailed demon cat, the Nibe. Because of this, you will one day have great power. Power you will use to serve this village. Despite your shocker discipline hell, if only just barely." "It's Raikage-sama," she said. Time skip. She was sitting on her bed with her knees drawn up, her hands wrapped around them. She was shaking and she was crying. She had a monster sealed away inside of her. A monster that was put in her on purpose. She was so scared, she was frightened, she was terrified. There was a single knock and the door opened. Her sensei never asked for permission to enter. Even the knock was just done out of courtesy. He shut the door behind him and walked over. "Why are you crying?" he said. You are being taught to be a ninja. For a ninja to cry is shameful. What is the 25th rule of ninja conduct? She quickly wiped her eyes and tried to stop herself from crying. No matter what happened, true shinobis must never show their emotions. The mission is a true priority. Carry that in your heart and never shed a tear. So, stop your crying, he said. He sat at the edge of the bed. You have no cause for your tears. What? I have a demon inside me, she said, panicking a bit even more. He reached up and pulled off his mask. The face he revealed was not a handsome one. It was the face of a man in his 50s, who had seen and done many things and survived it. His nose was large and stubby and his chin seemed to jut out too far. Wrinkles covered his face and there was a small scar under his left eye. His hair was mostly grey but still with some blonde. The eyes were a beautiful greyish blue though. That was a surprise. When he looked at her with the mask off, she was always drawn towards his eyes. So, that was true yesterday as well. It has been true for your entire life that you have a demon inside of you. The only thing that has changed is that you now know about it. Thinking about it that way helped a little. What will happen to me, she said. What will demon do to me? Nothing, he said. So long as the seal is active and you do not voluntarily release the Nibe, it cannot do anything to you. Though it seems likely the demon will talk to you. Talk to me, she said. He nodded. That is right. The demon will speak to you within your mind. You may expect all sorts of threats and demands that you release the seal. But keep in mind, demon cannot harm or control you unless you allow it to. It can't hurt me? It cannot, he said. The demon is a prisoner and you are his jailer. It would have been pointless to put the demon into you if it had been able to control you. Why was it, she asked. Why was this done to me? He tried not to show it, but his eyes held sympathy for her, and she could smell his concern. It was done so you can one day use demon power to protect the village. You know that in the Third Great Ninja War, most of our country was overrun, and this village nearly destroyed. She nodded. She knew all about the village history. It is to make sure that such a thing can never happen again. The Nibi was placed inside of you. Surviving in this world demands strength and sacrifice. All lightning are expected to make whatever sacrifice required for the good of the village. In that, Yujito, you are no different from me or any other ninja. We are all tools for the service of the Hokage in the village. She slowly nodded. I understand. I am a weapon, and I live only to serve, she said. Will the people I protect always be afraid of me? Yes, he said truthfully. I told you it was human nature to fear what you don't understand. But perhaps in time some of them will lose their fear of you. Will you? She asked. He saw her pain as he reached out to try and comfort her, but he stopped. I understand, she said. She could smell his fear. It was faint, but it was there. He put his mask back on and stood up. I know this has been hard for you, but I still expect you to behave like a future Anzu operative. No more tears. A ninja, do not cry. It is disgraceful. I understand, Sensei, she said. Very well. You may have the rest of the day to yourself. With that, he departed. When she turned back, he was gone. On her bed was 10 boxes of strawberry pocky. Despite everything, she smiled a bit. Pocky was a favorite thing in the world for her. Whenever she did really well in her training or lesson, he would reward her with a box. He had never given her more than a single box at a time though. She smiled. This was his way of saying that he cared, without ever saying it. Time skip. She was in an underground chamber, with a massive ceiling array on the ground and she was in the center, as her sensei stood to one side, with 9 Anbu operatives all watching her as well. Try it once more, her sensei said. Yes, sensei, she said. She reached within herself and tried to draw out the power. She found it hidden somewhere deep inside. But bringing it out was difficult, like drawing water from a very deep well. Nevertheless, she had her orders, so she tried. Like the others in the room, he felt it, just a tiny flicker of that power, as a tiny film of red chakra oozed out of her arms, but it then vanished. I'm sorry, Gensuku-sensei, she said, opening her eyes. But that's as much as I can do. I see, he said, a frown. Perhaps you're going about this the wrong way. Even after months of training, you're still only able to scratch the surface of your potential. Let us try something different. I want you to take on a meditative state and see if you can contact Demon. There are gasps from her, and the other Anbus as well. You want me to talk to Demon? Yes. If you appeal to Demon Owl, sense of preservation, it may be willing to aid you. But what if Yujito? It cannot hurt you. There's no reason for you to be afraid. Only if you give it the power to. Yes, Sensei, she nodded. She let herself fall peacefully into the meditative state. She woke up in a forest. The air was thick, with the scent of flowers and other plants. The sky above her was a tranquil blue, without any clouds anywhere. She looked around nervous as she wondered if the demon was watching her. Meow? She looked down to see a grey cat. Around the cat neck was a leather collar. What an adorable kitty, as she picked the cat up and started to pet the cat with one hand. The cat closed his eyes and started to purr. She lifted the cat up and looked at the collar. Do you belong to someone? The cat opened both of her eyes. She laughed. Well, since this isn't real, you belong to me. I guess I'll call you Precious. My name is Nibi. She dropped the cat and jumped back, and pulled out a kunai. The cat landed on all 4 feet before sitting down. What had seemed like a simple tale turned out to be 2, as both of them curled around the cat. Is something wrong? You're the demon, she cried out. Well, of course I am. Who else would I be? Yujito stood there eyeing the normal cat who was still holding on to her kunai. Are you going to try and eat me? I have eaten humans before, but I don't really like them. Too fatty. I like fish. Alright, this wasn't what she expected at all. So, are you gonna try and hurt me? No. Why would I hurt you? Because you're a demon. Yes, you've already said that. Now why would you think I would hurt you? Isn't that what demons do? Humans. The cat simply laughed. For such short-lived and fragile creatures, you really believe you know everything, don't you? Listen, not all demons are alike. Some like Shikaku or the Kyuubi revel in destruction and killing. Some simply enjoy living in their animal form. I usually enjoy just being a cat and taking vengeance on people sometime. Vengeance? Asked Yujito. Yeah, that's right. I am a spirit of vengeance and I enjoy bloody revenge on those who have committed terrible wrong. I also really like to just lie out in the sun. I see. So are you going to take vengeance on me for holding me prisoner? No, you had no choice in that. You are as much as a victim as I am. So, what happened now? Well, you could remove my collar. Despite this strange situation, Yujito's mind was still very sharp. The collar. It symbolizes the seal that holds you, doesn't it? That's right. Yujito shook her head. In that case, I'm afraid I can't remove it. My duty is to protect the village. And they need me to keep you in prison. Well, in that case, can you pet me? You want me to pet you? Well, of course. I enjoyed it, said Nibi. Alright, said Yujito as she put the kunai away. As she made her way over, the Nibi just jumped in her arms. As she pet her and she started to purr. Since you don't seem like you want to harm me, can I ask you something? Yes, I would allow you to use my chakra. How did you... Nibi laughed. We share the same body. And mine through the seal. Everything you know, I know. And just to save time, no, I can't hurt you unless you allow it. And yes, if you die, I die as well, so I'll do whatever I can to protect you. Thank you, Nibi. You're welcome, Yujito. She opened her eyes back in the real world and smiled at her sensei. I did. I talked to Nibi. The other envoys started to whisper to each other. And what did it say? Asked her sensei. Her. What? The Nibi. She's a girl. She said I could use her chakra and she would try and protect me. I see. Well, in that case, why don't you try and drop on demon chakra once more? Certain that she could do it this time, she asked question. Sensei, if I manage to do it, can I have a special reward? When she did well, she would ask me for specific things as awards. What would you like? Previous request has been for stuffed toys, her own radio and CD player. Would you take me to the village and buy me lunch at a restaurant? Yes, I will, but you'll have to draw a noticeable amount and hold it for a while. Yes, Sensei, she said as she focused. As it was much easier this time, the red chakra flew out of her. There were shouts of alarm from the others, and even her sensei took a step back, as Yujito had transformed into a 10-foot tall Nibi. Junsuko had only felt this once before, but it was a mere fraction of what the demon was able to produce back then. Are you happy, Sensei? It was Yujito's voice, but had a deeper tone to it. Yes, very well done, Yujito. The test is complete now. Please, let go of the power. She immediately complied, as she returned back to her normal 7-year-old form, with a big smile on her face towards her sensei. As they were making their way across rooftop to rooftop, and she preferred this because she didn't like when the people glared at her. As she stopped, forcing her sensei to stop as well. What are they doing? Those are civilian girl. They're playing. Playing? You mean like what I do with my toys? Yes. They were playing jump rope, as one of them ended up dropping. Shameful. Huh? That girl is crying, it's shameful. She's not a ninja in training. It's ordinary for normal kids to cry. A woman then came out and started to wrap the girls around her arm. What is she doing? Asked Yujito. It's called a hug. It's a way to show care and affection for someone. Yujito looked at the mother hugging her child. This was strange to her and new. At the restaurant, when they made their way, people avoided them and didn't say anything, but there were stares and whispers. And she had some big salmon and rice. He didn't eat much, but he had 4 bottles of steak. Yujito noticed that. You always drink so much, he asked, as he had removed his mask to eat, as he had an annoyed expression on his face now. You do not need to worry, it will take a lot more than this to leave me drunk. Why do you drink so much? It's a medicine for the soul, he said, as he drank another cup. Will I drink like this when I'm a ninja? He looked at her. I really hope not. Time skip. What are you? A weapon. What is your purpose? To strike down my enemy. Are you happy? Time skip. They were outside the village. Yujito was happy. This was her initiation in Anvu, and this was her first time outside the village, ever. She had trained long and hard to master taijutsu, ninjutsu, weapons, use of them, and her demonic chakra. It had been lonely at times being alone. She didn't really have friends, well except for Nibi. The only person where she was close to was her sensei, and even that had a distance between them. She was eager to become a real Anvu ninja. She would be getting her own apartment, and no longer be confined to Anvu headquarters all the time. She would get to go on real missions and see the world. She would actually have a bit of freedom. Her sensei looked towards her. Normally, you'd have to achieve the rank of Jonin and have years of field experience to be an Anvu, he said. But you are the most special of special exceptions. So if you pass the night test, we will welcome you into our ranks. I'm ready for whatever test you have, she said. We will see, he said. Bring him out. From out of the nearby trees, two Anvu came with a chain that was locked onto a prisoner. The prisoner was gagged and looking across the clearing, terrified. Yujito was surprised to see the man in ninja clothing and gear. Prisoners usually wear brown prison clothing. Even more surprised, she saw that he had on a mist headband. Junsuko approached the prisoner with a key in hand. We will give you a 2-minute head start. If we catch you, we will kill you. He grabbed hold of the man's wrist and unlocked the cuffs and chains. He then stepped back. Let him go. The other two Anvus released him. The man looked around, thinking that this was some kind of trick. But no one moved, as he rushed as fast as possible away. Sensei, what are you doing? That man's a spy from the mist. He was captured in our territory, trying to steal one of our code books. He's a Chudin, and he should be no match for Anvu. In 1 minute and 40 seconds, you're going to go out alone and kill him. Kill him? What are you? A weapon. What is your purpose? Strike down the enemy, she said. For the first time in a long while, she really heard what she was saying. Do you really think those are just words? If you really become an Anvu, these are the sort of mission you'll be able to carry out. You will go alone, track him down, and return his headband as proof after you kill him. If you should fail, we have to call the hunter in to try and prevent him from making his way back to Mist. And should you fail, you are not ready to be a ninja. I will not fail, Sensei. He looked at his watch. Then go, he said, as she leaped off. Even with a full moon out, she relied on Sen to track him. It turned out that he was pretty fast, as she tracked him for 3 hours. She had more endurance than him. She could go at least days without stopping. After 3 hours of running, he had to rest. That was when she caught up to him. By sunrise, she came back with a bloody headband, as she gave to her sensei without a word. How was it? He asked. Hard, she said. It get easier. Before long, it won't bother you at all. Really? She asked. Is that why you drink so much? Because it doesn't bother you at all. I drink for many reasons. Here. He held out a lightning headband, along with a demon cat mask. You are now a ninja and an Anvu of the village, hidden in the clouds. She took both items. Thank you, Sensei. I am very proud of you, Yujito. His words made her blush with pride. Sensei, may I ask for a special reward? Yes, what would you like? A hug, she said. I'm not sort of a hugger, he said. Oh, I understand, she said. But how about we go back to the village, and I'll buy you all the pocky you want. She looked back up and smiled. Alright, she said. Time skip. Being an Anvu did not change her life. Well, mostly. She got her own apartment. She had her own money. She decided what she eat and what she wore. But she was still lonely most of the time. Like Gara in the Sun and Naruto in Konoha, everyone in the village knew who she was. Unlike two of them, she was never attacked, insulted, or threatened before. After all, she was Anvu and you never disrespect Anvu. But no one approached her as a friend either. Also, like others, the Hokage didn't keep it a secret. He let the world know that he possessed a two-tailed demon, as that brought in many high-paid contracts. She was always kept busy with training or mission. She was never assigned a team. Once in a while she would work with Junsuko. Most of the time she was solo. She received A or extra missions, many of them involving assassination, something of high risk and difficulty. She did not object as he allowed her to travel and provide her with real challenges. Her life was not all that she hoped for, but she was satisfied, even if she was lonely. Then she returned from a mission to find out that her sensei, Junsuko, was in the hospital, dying from liver failure, and he was asking for her. He always seemed so large and unstoppable. Now he was lying in a hospital bed, pale and sweaty. Despite his weakness, he smiled up and looked at her. Hello, Yujito. Thank you for seeing me. Sensei, what happened? He chuckled. All the stake over all those years finally caught up to me. The medic can do nothing for me. I do not have very long to live. Do not grieve for me, he said. Don't worry, I have a good life. And I do not fear death. Death is a part of life. It is as natural to be born as is it to be dead, said Yujito. He nodded, yes, and his pointless to fear what must be. He took a deep breath and forced himself up in a sitting position. But before I die, I have something to say to you. I had many regrets, Yujito. I have things that I need to tell you now. One of the things I regret the most is how I treated you. Sensei, what are you talking about? You were the only one that ever treated me well. No, he said. I could have showed more that I cared about you, but I always did not because I thought that was a weakness of a ninja. And knowing what your life was going to be like, I thought it best not to expose you to that. I thought it best if you find satisfaction in the duty and not people. Now I knew I was wrong. He reached out and put his arms around her. She stiffened. She was not used to anyone touching her, but slowly she relaxed and accepted his hug. All those times I asked you if you were happy and you say yes, I knew that you were lying, but I convinced myself that you weren't. I want you to pretend that you weren't unhappy or lonely. I wasn't brave enough to be a father to you, and for that I beg your forgiveness. She felt the comfort of finally being embraced by the person she truly cared for. I can't forgive you because you never did anything wrong. I know that you care about me, even if your way of showing that is by buying me pocket. Every single time you gave me some or spent time with me, I knew it was you, showing that you care. Sensei, may I call you father? He smiled. I would like that. Father. The word sounded so strange to her, but it felt wonderful to say. As she felt tears, she felt ashamed of showing such weakness. Forgive me. I should not be crying, she said. It's alright, he said. If you feel need to cry, then cry. I know how strong you are and honor me. To know that you weep for my sake. She cried harder. Father, please don't leave me, she said. I'm sorry, Yujito, but that is not my choice. But whatever time I have left, I would like to spend with you. He held on for 5 days. During that time, she refused to leave his side. She was actually assigned an A-rank mission which she refused. In the village of the cloud, ninjas were not allowed to refuse missions, but no one had the courage to tell her that she had to go. In those 5 days, she and her father talked and talked, trying to make up for years of things that has been left unsaid. For this very short time, she thought that she understood what it would feel like to be loved. At the very end, his skin became yellow, as it was almost completely bright yellow. He was sweating and he was in pain, but he was a ninja and kept his dignity to the very last. Daughter, I want you to be truly happy someday. You deserve that, and you deserve to be loved. Promise me something if you find love and happiness one day, that you will not turn away from it, not even if it conflicts with your duty. That went against everything he taught her, but she could not refuse. I give you my solid promise, father. If I find love and happiness someday, I will not turn away from it. He closed his eyes, as he found peace. Time skip. She had never been to Konoha before, as she arrived at the main gates, and showed her documents. She had no idea what the mission was, but she would perform it to the best of her ability, like she always did. As the Hokage's tower was very hard to miss as she saw it. 3 years since her father's death when he told her to find love and happiness. She had mostly given up on that. For someone like her, such thoughts were foolishness. She arrived at the office and she was greeted by the Hokage assistant. The Hokage has been looking forward to meet you, Shizune said. I look forward to meeting him as well, she politely lied. If he was anything like the Raikage, he would be a frowning and unhappy man who was fearful and distrustful. At least the meeting must be short. She would be a former Ford client was, and she would be making her way. As they entered the office, she was surprised she saw a teenage boy there, but he was dressed in the Hokage robes. She gave him a respectful bow. He was Hokage. I am Yujito of the Hidden Cloud. I was ordered to come here for a long-term mission, she said. It's very glad to meet you, Yujito. I hope we can become good friends. Her eyebrow quirked at that, friends. What sort of Kage would say something like this? She was confused and surprised. She looked up once more. Yes, he was definitely wearing the Kage's clothes. He was a Hokage. Well, I suppose that would be possible, she said. She didn't want to be rude. Can I be informed who my client is, she asked. I'm your client. I gave the Raikage 5 million Ryu of my family money to hire you to be my bodyguard for a full year. A year? Welcome to Konoha, he said. And that was Yujito life coming up to this point. Time skip. As Naruto was performing the wedding for Shikamaru and Temari. Temari looked quite beautiful in her white wedding kimono, with her long hair and her face covered in a white traditional makeup. Not as beautiful as Hinata though. The wedding in Nara State was smaller than he had, but it was still pretty big, with a few hundred guests presenting themselves. Asuma had been given the honor of walking Temari down the aisle. Hinata went behind holding the edge of the kimono. Choji was standing next to Shikamaru, giving him moral support, while making sure he didn't make a run for it. But Temari was smiling as she was happy. As that made Shikamaru relax, as she made her way up. After both of them had sipped, the ceremony had sake. Naruto looked towards the people. Can any give just cause while these two should not be married? There was a loud cough as everyone turned towards Ino. What? I had to cough, she said. Eyes quickly turned back to the bride as her killer intent was raising. Honey, Shikamaru said. Please don't kill her. Killing a wedding guest is a bad omen for a marriage, Yoshino said. With a pure act of will, Temaru calmed herself. Why was she invited again? Shikamaru sighed. Because I've known her since we were kids. She's a friend, former teammate, and my best friend girlfriend. And my mom liked her. Since there's no objections, Naruto said, looking directly at Ino, who just simply smiled. Why don't we continue the ceremony? Nothing else out of the ordinary occurred. With a tremendous amount of relief, Naruto informed Shikamaru that he could now kiss his bride, which he did happily, as they became married. The Naruto clan was financially well off, but not as rich as the Namikaze, Uchiha, or the Hyuga, since Choji was there, and beef was there as well, being served. They decided having an open bar might bankrupt the clan. Kiba was at the bar working on his second bottle of sake. Even if he had to pay, he was determined to enjoy himself here. After all, he didn't have much fun in the bachelor party again. As Kiba remembered what happened at the bachelor party. As Kiba sighed for the 7th time, as Choji was eating beef. You know, I thought Naruto bachelor party was lame, but at least we had sake. Choji, this has had to be the worst bachelor party in the history of bachelor party. Choji looked hurt. You don't like the food? Kiba rolled his eyes. The food is just fine, but this is supposed to be a wild night of drinking with naked dancing girls. Don't be so troublesome, Kiba. Temaru threatened him about me getting drunk or having dancing girls, said Shikamaru. Choji shivered. That's right. Kiba eyed the one female who was there. Well, maybe we could have one dancing girl. What do you say, beautiful? One put on a show. The next moment he was on the ground holding his face. Yujito returned back to Naruto's side. Forgive me, Hokage-san, she said. In the flashback, Kiba would have fantasized about a hot blonde attacking him, but not like that. He then spotted a redhead at the bar. Hey there, beautiful. Tell you why I growled at him. Oh come on, you're not still mad, are you? Asked Kiba. Flashback to the morning after Naruto and Hinata wedding. Oh, screw me, said Teiwaya. At the sound of her voice, Kiba opened his eyes. I already did. Twice. Since you're awake, can you make me breakfast before we go at it again? He asked. There was a moment of complete quiet as she stared at him. Then, ow! As he started to rub his bruised backside, she kicked him right out of bed. She wrapped the blanket around her. Get the hell out! Damn, I guess you're the cuddling type, he said as he started to look for his clothes. Could I at least have a sandwich before I go? Where the hell are my kunai? She said. She looked around. He was forced to leap through the window with nothing but his boxers as she threw kunai at him. I'll call you, he shouted. In the flashback, she ordered a bottle of sake before turning to look at him. Why the hell would I be mad? Just because the whole village knew about it by the end of the day. Well, come on. I mean, they did see you hanging all over me at the end of reception. You know, I brought my flute with me. Kiba stepped back. Well, see you later, he said. Hinata was 5 months pregnant, as Naruto had danced with her, as he then started to dance with some others. Alisa, his mom, Gabriella, Teiwaya, Ino. Yes, Hinata was okay with it. Yujito shouldn't be surprised, but she was. Do you want to dance, Yujito? He asked. He came over to her. Seeing him dance with so many people, it never occurred to her that he'd want to dance with her as well. Her heartbeat picked up a bit, and her cheek darkened a couple shades. Thank you, Naruto-san, but I never really danced before. Still smiling, he took both of her hands. Then you're way past due. Come on, it's not that hard. She tried to protest, but she did not really fight as he led her out on the dance floor. And shortly, 2 of them were dancing. People did not stop or stare. They were just one couple on a crowded floor. Slowly, she started to realize that she was dancing with him as she relaxed. You were trying to fool me, said Naruto. What? She said. You've danced before, he said happily. No, really, this is my first time. But it's not hard to follow where you lead. Well, I thank you for your trust in me, said Naruto. I would trust you with my life, so trusting you with a dance is not so much, she said. Naruto was a bit surprised by that, but he smiled none the same. Well, thank you, Yujito-chan, he said. You're welcome, Naruto-kun. He quirked the eyebrow. Naruto-kun? My apologies, Hokage-san, she said. I did not mean to be disrespectful. Please forgive me. Naruto simply laughed. Yujito-chan, I was just teasing, he said. You're one of my precious people. You can call me Naruto-kun whenever you like. She nodded carefully. I'm your precious person? Well, of course you are. I like you and I care about you. You're my precious person. Thank you. That means a great deal to me. And you're very precious to me as well. He nodded. Are you feeling alright? You look sort of flushed. Well, at this moment, I think I feel better than I ever had. They continued to dance. As Kushina and Hinata watched from the table, Yujito seemed to be enjoying herself, said Kushina. Yes, Hinata said. Perhaps just a little too much, said Kushina. Hinata glanced at her mother-in-law. I'm glad Yujito is enjoying herself. The two of them had become good friends. Kushina nodded and didn't say anything else. But guys, be in subscribe right here for what's next part of this do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace, guys.